Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about how I fill up E85 into my Evo X. So recently I went to that E85 Live and am loving that increase in mid-range and torque. Picked up about 40 kilowatts at the wheels on the same boost with no other modifications. Loving it. As a person that was new to E85, I had seen and read some horror stories about injectors becoming blocked and fouled, and just really not knowing much about filtration methods, I decided to get a new fuel filter, new pump, had new injectors that were on the car, not for much longer than, or not much prior to when I had the E85 tune. So I started looking at different ways that I can filter my fuel before I put it in the car. And I spoke to my tuner, and my tuner said a lot of those photos you see are from E10 type fuels, or perhaps some sort of dodgy petrol station. But here in Brisbane and Australia, there's really only one supplier that sells E85, and that's United Petroleum. And I found it to be pretty clean. So when you go to the petrol station and you pump it into a jerry can like this, you can see it. It looks clean, but you can never know exactly what's on the bottom of the tank. And so the only way to be sure if it is a super clean fuel, which is free of contaminants, is to use a filter. So there's a number of filters that you can buy online, cheap ones, expensive ones, ones which have got high micron ratings. But this is just a simple, cheap one that I bought online. Comes with a spout. When I place it in here, what it does is it stops this area from getting wet with E85, because if you've done your research online, you'll see that when the plastic white part of the fuel cap gets E85 on it, what happens is that plastic starts to warp. And so if you've got an E85 car and you're trying to put your fuel cap on and you've just found it awfully hard since you've got your tune, or since you've just gone to the Bowser, or whatever fueling method you use to put fuel into your tank, if you get fuel around here and it's hard to put it on, that's why. It's because the plastic is swelling, it's getting an abnormality, and the thread is not going into there properly, so it's not tightening up so well. How do you get around that? Well, you can use one of these, which means that the fuel only goes deep down into there, or you can just buy a new fuel cap. Alternatively, what I did was I actually just used some wet wipes, like 10 of them, to really thoroughly clean that threaded area, to try and get any remnants of E85 off it. And I do that every now and again, and it has gotten a little bit better, but it's not perfect. So it doesn't tighten up the way that it used to when I was on what we call premium unleaded petrol. So in Australia we have a 98 RON fuel, and I think that we call E85 somewhere around 107 to 110. So here's what I do. So I just essentially put this straight in like that, and because it can go all over the place, I just close the fuel lid halfway, just like that, and then it's ready to pour. And what I wanted to show you is that right here, and I hope that picks up alright, there is a contaminant right there in the mesh. So I've just been pouring my fuel in. I've got a 25 litre Scepter jerry can, which I've purchased from Autobarn. Not a bad can. I've had one of these fail, which I need to do a warranty return on, so it's dripping halfway through, which is a pain. Lucky I've got 3 of them. But what I wanted to convey is that just today I've noticed that there is a contaminant there which was not there when I started pouring E85 into the tank today. So I just do the thing that people usually do. I'm not quite sure if the VP Racing jugs do this in America, but there's a sort of a cap here to help when you're pouring E85 in, so that it doesn't sort of glug so much and become hard to put in. But this tank's only got less than a litre in it now, so it won't do that too much. But as you can see, it just goes in there nice and easy. So not only are you relying on the fuel filter, which is placed underneath your rear seat where your fuel pump most likely is sitting, unless you've got some sort of trick setup in the boot or something like that. But yeah, it's an extra step of filtration. It's not an awesome one. It's not a very tightly knit filter, but as you can see, it was enough to pick up something today. So that, as you can see, is still staying. I hope you can see it. It's still staying down the bottom there, and I'll be cleaning that out once I've finished. So that's how I fill up my E85. Best not to leave E85 sitting around for too long. You've probably already know that if you leave it sitting for too long, water condensation can build up on it, which can do all sorts of bad things to your tune. So, you know, some people say, oh yeah, they're fine leaving E85 for months on their shelf at home, but I don't go any longer than about 1 week. If you're at home and you're pouring this in your garage and your family is complaining about smells, another trick thing I did was I bought a Wi-Fi switch from my local JB Hi-Fi shop. So then I just went to Bunnings and bought a fairly decent fan like that, and then I've just got a pedestal fan that cycles from side to side. So as you can see here, if I just turn my Wi-Fi switches on, then my fans turn on. So it's trying to blow all that smell out of my garage. And I just sit there on my driveway. I wait there for a minute or two whilst all that exhaust smell blows out of my garage. I've never actually seen a video to that effect before, but Wi-Fi switches, only when you get them on sale, they're only about 20 bucks. I think you can even get them from Kmart. But you know, whatever brand you end up getting, make sure you buy a lot of them, because then if you have different sorts of ones, you probably run into having to use different apps to control a series of fans. Thanks for watching this video. As always, please like, comment and subscribe.